Hi everyone, welcome back. So last week I talked about the discussion session with the Board of Visitors. And I've been thinking about a question that one of the board members asked me, which is, where do you actually do your research? Do you do research in classrooms or do you do research in your laboratory? Well, the simple answer is I do both. But the reason this question stuck with me is really because it relates to one of the things that I emphasize in all the classes I teach. In all my classes, I ask my students to align their research question with the methods they choose. So when I decide where I want to do my research, it always depends on what question I'm asking. Sometimes I do research in the context of an entire course. Say I want to know whether using ChemTutor in a chemistry course affects students' course grades. Well, then I really have to use data from the entire chemistry course because that is the scope of the question. Now, I can actually answer that question without ever setting a foot in the classroom because I only need the data. But say I want to know how students use ChemTutor in a collaborative lab session. Well, then I actually have to go to those sessions and I have to observe how students interact with each other when they're using ChemTutor. So now the question is a different one, and yeah, it has a different scope. It's an in-class session rather than the learning outcomes of an entire course. But also what I'm interested in has changed, and that affects what I assess. So I'm not looking for grades, but I'm looking for student interactions. But sometimes my question is even more fine-grained. Say I want to know whether working with ChemTutor affects what students pay attention to in a visual. To address that question, I can use eye tracking. And in that case, I would probably invite chemistry students to come into my lab so that they can work on ChemTutor while they use my eye tracker so that I can track their visual attention. So now again, the measure that I'm interested in is different because my question is different, and that affects how I want to do my research. And sometimes it is even possible to use multiple methods in the same study. But sometimes we actually need to do different studies to get at these different aspects of learning. So where we do our research really depends on the question that we're asking. And I think we need to combine multiple methods to really get a clear picture of how students learn with visuals and how we can help them do so most effectively.